Tonight on Chronicle, celebrating 50 years of WMUR from the State House to the White House, Fred Kocher.
We had to just go cover those things that we thought would be of the most interest to the most people, and in New Hampshire, that was state government.
WMUR, Tom, is 50 years old, and we are celebrating our golden anniversary with a look back at some of the people who got us here. And I had the pleasure to sit down with a gentleman who not only nursed us through the infant years, he is still on the air today.
Yep, from the White House to New Hampshire's business. He's covered the state from stem to stern. Meet our good friend and colleague, Fred Kocher.
4 more ward officials have been charged with official misconduct in connection with the ballot stuffing incident in Manchester's Ward 4. City Prosecutor Norman DeMoore says warrants were issued for ward moderator George Perry.
Channel 9 in the old days, for me is 1970s when I was there, was in a state that was very different. We were the only commercial television station in New Hampshire, so people tended to come to us for interviews, which was kind of nice.
This is Fred Kocher reporting from the District Court here in Manchester.
We had to just go cover those things that we thought would be of the most interest to the most people, and in New Hampshire, that was state government, because you could go up and cover all kinds of stories, and they would be of general interest to everybody, because it affected the whole state.
In 1969, Fred Kocher was a cub reporter on the State House beat.
News department, we had 3 people, 4 if we were lucky, and then a lot of stringers. These were mostly guys who had 16mm film cameras who were at the other end of the phone, and we'd call them, we'd say, could you go cover a story over in Nashville? We can't get there. And they would bring the film in late in the afternoon, and we'd process it and use it on the air.
In Channel 9's early years, technical limitations made covering the news challenging.
Yeah, it was 16mm film, not videotape, and it had a magnetic strip on the side of it for the sound. And so we processed the film in the basement of this old house up on North Elm Street when we had black and white film. And then when we went to color, we had to farm the film out to a lab in Dover. So we had to get the film processed in Dover, drive it very fast to Manchester to put it on the air. We had to edit it after it got to the station. So it took hours. We had to wrap up our day about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and everything after 3 went on the 11 o'clock news. I started my day at 7:30 at the AP in Concord. I ended my day about midnight after the 11 o'clock news for 5 years. Loved it. That was what got me going every day. Part of the history of New Hampshire in the making, just like it is for you today at Channel 9. It's what drove me. I still love it today. That's why I still try to keep my fingers in the pie with New Hampshire's business.
Welcome to New Hampshire's Business. I'm Fred Kocher. There's an age shift taking place in New Hampshire, which is significant among the young and the old.
Channel 9 has always prided itself on its political coverage, and Fred was one of our pioneers. He was the first Channel 9 reporter to interview a sitting president at the White House, Gerald Ford.
People say you're in trouble in New Hampshire. Do you share that belief with them?
I think I have a lot of friends in New Hampshire, Fred, and of course, the real test comes on February 24th.
Fred also set standards for investigative work that Channel 9 is proud to bear.
I was in the newsroom one morning, and the AP wire machine, which is different than the one you have today, it would go clickety-clack, clickety-clack. It was always making noise, and suddenly I heard these bells go off, which meant there was an AP special coming across the wire, and it was about this Russian oil tanker that was off the New Hampshire, New England coast. Nobody had ever seen a Russian oil tanker off the coast. What was it doing there? I made a few calls and determined that Sprague Oil in Portsmouth and then in Boston was buying this oil from Odessa, Russia, to heat New England homes in the wintertime. The State Department couldn't remember that ever happening, ever. And of course, we were still at odds with Russia in the 70s. The oil embargo by OPEC was taking place, so oil was at a premium, and we needed to get that Russian oil. So I hired a helicopter, flew out, found the ship with the hammer and sickle on the smokestack. We took some shots of it, came back, interviewed the president of Sprague Oil, Henry Powers, and he'll remember that. And he has said yes, we're going to put Russian oil into New Hampshire homes this winter. Called ABC News in New York because I thought they might be interested. They were. They chartered a plane, flew me to New York. We edited the story, and it led the ABC Evening News that night. So another coup, another first for Channel 9, and that is getting a story on the network. Again, you know, we were pretty proud of ourselves for young guys who were in a very small market up in New Hampshire.
There's been a court order today that would change the hours that the members of the Chicago 7 can appear here and speak. Would you tell me about that order? We have just received...
Everything that's happened to me in my life up to this point, I can track back to Channel 9. Everything. My jobs, the people that are still friends, family. It's an amazing experience. All the connections and the friends I made while I was at Channel 9 kind of set the blueprint for the rest of my life.
This is Fred Kocher reporting from the University of New Hampshire campus at Durham.